producer.
Poducci?
Poducci. We're on
That's kind of swaggy,
We're on
honestly.
the Poducci podcast. Poducci. It works.
Thank you, Ryan.
The sound of my voice reminds me of the wood of these walls. It makes no sense, but it just sounds cozy and woodly.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Shout out, Ryan.
It's weird listening to your voice, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like when we get out of this, you're going to be like, what the hell is normal
I'm not going to vape
talking?
as much on this, so I'm just taking my vapes now.
Yeah.
And I did an interesting, we don't have to even add this in, but an interesting thing, I was talking to someone about vaping yesterday, and I've noticed that some people I know that are like extremely successful and content and just have so much going on, they don't vape. And I've noticed that people that have a little more struggle and a little more not fully together in their lives, it adds a little bit of sweetness to kind of make things kind of cohesively just flow. And I was like, interesting, because like I actually talk to people that like they don't vape and they're like, I just have all these things going on, I don't have time to vape or this and that, I don't need it in my life. And I'm like, I understand that, and I don't want to do this forever, but there is an aspect of it when I'm producing or when I'm working that like it does add like a little bit of like a zing of like comfort.
No, the nicotine, it helps. It gives you the comfort.
Yeah, because I don't even like.
I do the Zins now. I don't vape.
What are Zins?
It's like the
pouch.
Yeah, it's like a little pouch, but it's like spitless.
Sure. Really? Oh shit.
Yeah.
Are they better than vaping?
I mean, I think it definitely is for your lungs.
It's not for your lungs, yeah, for sure. Because I do want to switch off. I mean, it's just I'm enjoying it right now, and it's like not.
Do you want to try a Zin?
Right now?
I mean, if you want.
Will it make me feel crazy?
Well, yeah. If you're not used to it, it might
not
make
for
you
yeah.
feel
Not,
kind
I'll
of
do it
crazy.
like maybe afterward. I'll do like a third of it or something. No,
Yeah. I'll give you one after. You can try it out.
Vaping's bad though. Don't vape.
No vaping. This might not make it on the podcast, but
it's all
don't
good.
vape.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Cool, dude. Well, we're here. We've made it. I've been trying to do this where I like actually say like, yo, this is Podducer. Like, so I'll do one of those. Yo, what's up, guys? This is Podducer, the podcast for producers. Today we are joined by COFRESI.
What's up?
Yo, COFRESI.
We're here.
What do you do, man?
Well, most people know me, and as I describe it, as a producer, a performer, an educator in some senses when I'm doing my lessons and stuff, and just an entertainer. And in ways you could call it a DJ, but I'm learning as I've gotten to this point, I'm not really a DJ. I'm more of a producer performer.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because if I was DJing, it'd be more on the decks, and I know a bit about the decks, but even at the age I've reached, I never really dove deep on the decks. I can run them a bit, but I don't want to go to a club and be like, bring up that USB, load it in. Like, I'm more like, give me that push pad in the computer, and I'll launch that set and make it good.
No, I get that.
And
we'll get into the live setup a little bit more, like the. You'll see. We'll have Ryan maybe pull up some pictures too, but yeah, we'll talk more about that. But
and to add to that real quick is also I'm technically a drum DJ. Is that what they would say? Is like I do add percussion and digital percussion and live sampling and certain stuff to the set. So it's not just a press and play. It's not just a mix and mash. It's an interactive, like kind of engaging set where I can jam, I can do little free moments, and I can also lock and make sure that it's going to be consistent and on point.
For sure.
So it's a mix of that.
Cool. Well, we always start out with a fun question, which
Okay.
is, what was your first concert? Not like a gig you played, but like the first show you saw.
The first show I ever saw was my sister took me to see Fish with her XXX.
The jam band?
Yeah, the jam band at Alpine Valley. And it was also the very first time I tried a little bit of mushrooms. And I just distinctively remember sitting down on the grass, and before the show started, a man, a little bit heavier set, had tripped at the top of the hill. I don't know if he was tripping or what, but he fell.
He was tripping.
He literally tripped. He fell, and he started to roll from the top of that valley hill, and I was just watching him just tumble down. It was like the cheese hill challenge when they chase the cheese, but he was just rolling and rolling and rolling, and I'd never seen that. And it was then the drummer.
I've never seen that.
I know, and then the drummer comes out with a dress, and I said, I don't know where I am, but this is kind of cool. And it was a vibe. It was definitely like I didn't know much about the band. It was more the experience, and it was interesting to see. I'd never like experienced a bigger show in like a venue that was outdoors. And I mean that was my first show, so I hadn't experienced any show.
Are you still a Fish fan? Do you like the jam bands?
I'm not a Fish fan, but I'm not a Fish fan.
You're not like gung ho, like
No,
I gotta go see
no,
Grateful Dead. And
No,
like,
no, I respect that, but no, that's not my main thing. Like Fish is cool, but it's not something I'd put on and be like, let's vibe out and let me listen to this for my day, you know. But even if they're playing a show and they're at a fest, I'll probably swing by.
How old were you when this happened?
It's probably like 15.
Yeah,
I was pretty young. Yeah, and then to follow it up, the second show was 311, which was kind of cool. That was badass. It was at the venue in Milwaukee. It's like the Rave. It was at the Rave.
Oh yeah.
And I remember just being like, it sounds kind of bad here. Like I remember,
like even at a young age, you're like the sound is kind of shit.
It was very like we're just like hollow and like wide, and not the sense I was used to listening to their music and the recordings, and like hearing Down and hearing Amber live were so cool, but it sounded very like spread out and distant, and I wanted to feel closer to the sound in a way. And we were actually in the middle, like close to the crowd, but I remember some girl like passed out, and these guys were just carrying her over our shoulders, and she like went over my sister and I was like, oh my God, what the hell? Like she like had this, just like she passed out, but like I don't know if she was dead or not. And it was like a really scary, interesting experience where I'm like, I've never seen this either, so it was cool. Not cool, it was
it was a new experience.
It was a new experience, and I was like, this is wild, and then we did get a little bit of a crowd rush, and that was a little intense to feel people just pushing up on against you and being like, I don't want to do that. So I quickly learned I don't like being in the
You're
center.
not a mosh pit guy.
No, I've never moshed. And I mean, even when I went to see Fred again at Lollapalooza this year, like the crowd was thick, and I went out to the edge, and I was like watching from there, and even being on the edge, trying to leave that show was like gnarly. Like people just mushed together. People were sitting down on the ground, not letting people pass. I'm like, why are you sitting here? Like there's thousands of people trying to move. And even trying to get out, it took me like 40 minutes to get out of that area, being on the edge. So I can't imagine if you were in the center of that crowd and you're like, I gotta use a bathroom.
Yeah,
that'd be a trick. You might as well bring a porta potty to the set.
Lala is notoriously dense.
Very dense.
Yeah,
it was kind of overwhelming, honestly. Like it was cool, but I hadn't been in years.
When I was there in like high school, I was like, this is what I live for.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, this is way too much. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I respect them. It was actually really cool to see a bit of Fred again, and then Louis the Child. The sound design sounded awesome live. And yeah, and then there was this other band I saw Kendrick. Kendrick was interesting though, because like he came out late, which is like common for rappers, I know, but like every song he would like stop for like a minute or 2 minutes, and there was like dead silence, and it was just like, y'all should like make some transitions or make this more of a show. It felt like, here's a track, stop.
I have not been happy with a lot of the rappers that I've seen at Lollapalooza.
Yeah,
like I've seen A$AP Rocky. It felt very like,
it was more like, I'm here, like you're here to see me, but like I'm like, you're lucky to see me.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly. Like, and we're not gonna try that hard. Add a lot of like sound effects.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then they like won't rap or sing a lot of it. I'm just like, talk about like when you hear it in the headphones, the mixed produced version.
Yeah.
And you're like, go to see it live, and you're just like, what is this? That's how I felt. I don't know. Yeah,
that can be an interesting experience. Sometimes bands can sound better live, or an artist can sound better live. Like I actually think my project is has more of a presence and more of an impact in the live realm, because people really experience what I'm doing, and like it can be kind of translated through videos. Like I mean, like the Sandman video, which we'll get to, did kick things off, but like that still wasn't like the full experience. You got to go to a show. You know what I mean? And especially now, I feel like I've like really figured out like my shows and how to make them like cohesive and dynamic and multi-genre and all the stuff we'll get into. But it's I want to at least be an artist that like I have a strong live show. I don't want to be someone that's like, oh, he's cool, he's got good music, he's kind of weak though, like, because I've definitely seen artists where I'm like, they're beast producers, I'm not gonna name any names, but then I see the show and I'm like, you're like, this guy could have just listened at home. I kind of want to go origin story real quick, but the very start of that is what does COFRESI mean? So this is interesting. I actually had a funny moment at a house party 2 days ago. So COFRESI is my family last name on my mom's side. But a lot of people don't know that COFRESI is actually a very well-known, he was basically like the guy, like there was a big pirate situation in Puerto Rico, like it was like the hub like back in the day, and there was a guy named COFRESI the pirate, and he was basically like the dude. He was like the pirate. He did like, he was like Robin Hood. He stole from the rich, gave to the poor. He was executed by the government at the end of it, but he like ran it. He has a statue in Puerto Rico, books about him. I was at a house party 2 days ago and I met a guy that was Puerto Rican. So people know I am Puerto Rican. A lot of people think I'm Egyptian or Persian. To clear that out,
you do kind of look Egyptianish, Persianish. I have Persian in my side of the
Fire.
family. Yeah.
But a lot of times they'll try to connect with me. They're like, "You look Persian. Let's be friends." And then I'm like, "I'm not Persian." They're like, "Fuck, can't
Yeah.
be friends."
You're a mix.
Yeah, I'm a mix. Yeah.
So
But I'm Puerto Rican, and then I'm Lithuanian, Polish, a little bit of French. And I was at this party, and this dude like just had a similar vibe, and I was like, "What are you?" And he's like, "I'm Puerto Rican." I'm like, "No way." He's like, "I'm half." He's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I'm Lithuanian and like French too." I was like, "No way." I'm like, "That's my side." And he's like, "What's your last name?" I'm like, "COFRESI." And he's like, "Get the fuck out." He was like, "No." He literally got on his knees and was like, "You don't realize you're like fucking royalty."
the Pirate King.
Like,
are you related to the pirate?
I'm directly related to COFRESI, yeah. But
Whoa.
I know, and I need to actually do more and like talk about that with the project a bit more. So I will, like, I need to make like some connection. Like I might have to make like a
Have you
pirate flip.
gone? Yeah, you gotta
So,
make a
I gotta do something.
yo ho. Like,
I got to use the flag. I got to bring in my pirate blood.
dude,
and, like,
I just
wear
watched
eye
Pirates of
patch.
the Caribbean, the
Yeah.
first 3. I don't know if it's like any good after that, but it's fun.
Oh,
you know? Being a
it's shame.
pirate.
Yeah, it's a shame that I haven't seen the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, you gotta watch them. That's like homework.
I know.
I mean, they're good. So,
Yeah.
have you been to Puerto Rico and like seen this statue and like gotten any more history?
No, that's the thing. I've been to San Juan with my mom. I've been to Puerto Rico 3 times. Last time I was bit by a crazy bug and my ear blew up twice its size and I go to the hospital. Like, so that wasn't fun. And I was like, Puerto Rico's bugs. You know, like
You don't do well with the bugs.
dude.
Toma
yeah,
told me,
we'll
he's
get
like, we
this,
got to
yeah.
make fun of COFRESI because we had this scheduled for last week. He's like, dude, I got
Yeah.
a bug bite on my forehead. We can't do this. And I was
Dude,
like,
it
you
was
know what?
real.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? That actually is real because we do this on camera. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for those, I am very sensitive to mosquito bites, and I was at a movie theater, and as I think I was texting Tom or something, I just felt a pinch on my forehead, and I was like, no, and it was like a mosquito, big ass one, just flew away, and I knew. I was like, fuck, and like
No.
2-3 minutes later, I felt the puff, and like, yeah, I didn't show you, but it was like, dude, like
He just
quarter-
told me to rib you a little bit.
Yeah, it was real, and I was like, you know, we shouldn't really care about that stuff, but I don't want to be on camera with a big old lump on
I
my
get
head.
it. I totally understand.
People are like,
that,
is he
yeah.
okay? Like, and I'm like, it's just a mosquito
It's
bite.
a
But
mos-
it
yeah.
looked worse than a mosquito bite. Like, it was
Yeah.
like he get hit in the head.
So-
Being abused.
So back to the like, you were in Puerto Rico
Mhm.
and like, so you still, it seems like you still got to kind of like unpack some of that if you want to make
I
that
do.
part of the lore, I guess.
I do. I mean, that really sparked it. Like, having people be so excited about it. Like, I've seen this and that, but like, no joke. Like, he was telling everyone at the party, and they were like, no way. And
He's
I was
a
like,
pirate king.
and I was like, where can I go in Puerto Rico where I can get free dinner or something? Like, I want to
Yeah.
get some free food. If I like show them my name, they'll be like, you get like, so at least I would get rum and coke because Puerto Rican rum and
Oh yeah.
work in that way. But
Rum?
I do need to go where the statue is, and I want
Do
to
you
like
rum?
I don't drink much, but if I'm gonna have something, I do like a rum and coke or like a really fancy mixed drink. Like
Okay.
like if anyone doesn't know Violet Hour in Chicago,
Oh yeah.
fire spot, very unique.
Very good.
But I'm not
Hard
like
to find. Like
It's a secret.
inconspicuous.
that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like Alice in Wonderland. You might stumble across the door.
Yeah.
If you find it, you're like, oh, I know what it is. But it's really cool inside. It's got this, it's got this whole energy. But yeah, I think I just would like to go to Puerto Rico in the focus of learning more about COFRESI the pirate.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm his descendant.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like booty.
Have you ever seen that show where it's like they bring celebrities to learn more about their like family history and they're like, oh shit, my great grandpa might have been like a Nazi or something or
Oh, I'm
something
sure
crazy, you know what I
well,
mean? Like that.
As you were saying at the party, if you have a statue of yourself, you've killed a lot of people.
I wonder if you look at the statue and it's just like a spitting image of you. You're just like, wait, what?
It's just me on a horse, like with a pirate hat.
Mhm.
I think he looks a little different, but like
Oh,
he
yeah.
definitely like there's similarities.
He's like way shorter because they were
I
short.
don't even
back
know.
then.
He could have been a beastly man. He could have been a tiny man with a lot of power.
That's
So
true.
you don't know. And I just know he had a pirate, had a sword,
Mhm.
he ran stuff, and he was he is known. So I mean,
That's
I
dope.
have a coloring book that I did fill out when I was a kid, and it was COFRESI the pirate.
No
and we
way.
still have that in my parents' house. Like, he has books on him, and like he's actually got some legacy that I need to dive into, because it'd be cool to connect that with the project and like have something relating to it, and play
Yeah.
a show in Puerto Rico once and have like a pirate themed COFRESI vibe. Like,
Yeah, dude, that would be
only
Puerto
rum and
Rico?
cokes. Only
Ooh.
rum and cokes. Yeah.
I didn't think we would stay on the pirate thing for so long, but I was just gonna say it's Halloween soon.
Yeah.
Have you done the pirate before?
I've been Aladdin,
Okay.
but that's not a pirate. But yeah,
Not
but,
a pirate. Also,
Oh no, I did 1 year when I went to DePaul for a half a year because I had a scholarship there, and then it felt like high school again, and I was like, I'm gonna go somewhere else. But I did, for that Halloween, I did get a pirate outfit, and I remember we did the bar crawl, and I'm not even a drinker, it was just a cool thing to do. And basically I had a sword and just lost it really quickly. I remember the sword being abused by people. And I was like, you can't abuse my sword. And then like the eye patch was gone. So by the end of the night, I didn't look like a pirate. I just looked like probably more like Aladdin again. With
just
I went
normal. Back. Because you had like a sash maybe or something. Who knows?
Yeah. I have one where I was like an old man once where I like had this long white hair and I looked like a wizard and it was really cool.
That's cool.
I looked much more wise.
So I think we did enough pirate talk. Yeah. When did you, so like a big thing you do in your live act, which we were mentioning before, is drumming on pads. When did you start drumming and like getting into music production? So
there's actually a 3-piece to that. What's the first part in terms of getting into drumming, I started on piano. Like I was taking piano lessons and I will distinctively remember my friend Drew, I think it was in 5th or 6th grade. I was at Baker Demonstration School and I went to his house. He had a drum set and I was like, what? I like hadn't seen like a nice drum set before. Or was this at Baker? This might have been 4th grade. Yeah, this was actually 4th grade with Drew. Yeah, so I went to his house. He had this drum set and he was just playing it and I was like, that's badass. I was like, I'm here sitting piano with the white keys. I was like, he's hitting these big old circles.
Yeah, that's loud. Like, this is not as loud.
Yeah, but he was actually good. Like Drew was like, he was a prodigy for his age. I actually haven't heard of him. I know he had like some stuff go down, but like for his age point, it was like he was a good player. And I was like, damn, this kid's got some, he could do rolls and chops and little things. And to see that, I was like, whoa, this is badass. And that was the spark that got me into drums. I asked my parents for a drum kit. They got me like a drum kit that was like your starter kit. And the beater of the kick was made out of foam. And we had a cat at the time and the cat ate the drum kick. And I was like, if a cat can eat my drum set, it's not a good drum set.
Was that so it wouldn't be quite as loud? Because like your kid asks you for a drum kit, you're just like,
no, they just were trying to get, they're just trying to get a little bit of a bargain, you know?
Okay.
They're definitely, they didn't need to get a bargain, but my dad likes to find the deals.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is a deal. My son wants a drum. I'm going to get the edible cat drum head, you know? So, and then I was like, no. And then I started taking snare drum lessons at Pope John when I was at this Catholic school. And I'm actually more Jewish than Catholic, so I was just there for a little bit. But I was doing the snare drum, and I really liked that. And then they actually had gotten me a kit, but they were giving me piece by piece. So they gave me like the snare drum, then the kick drum, and then I was like, no, you gotta give me the full thing. I can't even
I need
play.
some cymbals, some toms. Let's go.
Yeah, and then I started taking lessons with this guy Dan, and Daniel Crane. Shout out Daniel Crane, great drummer. I mean, for being a high school player, he was throwing me onto No Doubt. He was like, check out this. He was like having me play the tracks, immediately getting me into flowing with music. A lot of guys will start off with, here's left, right, right. Like here's all your paradiddles, rudiments. Great, that's essential, but like get people into the flow of music because it creates joy also for the player. Like when you're playing a song you like, that's passionately, like your body's gonna want to gravitate toward that. So he would pick up songs and I'm like, oh, that's a cool song. But I remember No Doubt specifically being a lot of music we played because it was really good pocket feel. And he would just show me some cool things and he's like, I'm about to go to college, but I'm gonna send you to my teacher, Kevin Connolly. And Kevin Connolly was like the guy that a lot of good players go to, and he like really helped shape me into like a good player. And I got into marching band in high school, and that helped get my chops up and doing that. And then I just started getting into bands. And
were you playing snare drum? I
was playing snare in marching band. I also did I did concert band. I also got into jazz band. And I will always remember this though. Shout out Ian Weinberger. He was an amazing jazz drummer in high school. He was like the senior jazz drummer. And one day we're in the practice rooms and this new kid shows up, a sophomore named Michael. I'm gonna forget his last name. That's so bad. Not Michael Wood. A guy named Michael. Let's say he was Michael, and he was from the gospel scene. He was a young church drummer, and he had those chops.
He had chops.
I'd never seen gospel chops.
It's always the gospel chops.
I'd never seen gospel chops, and we were all in the little shed room. Ian's playing his little jazz licks. He's like, I'm the best drummer in the school, which he was. He was the best drummer in the school, but then Michael came and sat down and started chopping. I remember looking over at Ian. His face, he didn't know what to do because I will say, I'd realized at that point, there's white boy players kind of, and then there's like the choppers, and there's like, not even putting race on it, but I noticed like more people I was around that were brought up not in the church, they played top heavy. They did a lot of their fills just do-ga-do-ga-doom, do-ga-do-ga-doom. And like Michael came in, he's incorporating his foot and everything, boom, kappa, boom, boom, do-do-do-do, do-do-do. And it was so much more lively and full-bodied playing, and I was like, I've never heard this, like what the heck? And it was like eye-opening for all of us, and it checked. I don't want to say it checked Ian because he's still an amazing player, but it was eye-opening for him too. And he's like, oh, there's a whole other world that I wasn't aware of. That's like gnarlier playing than what I'm doing. It was more, it was still the dynamics, still the subtleties, but more direct, more power. It was more like musical in the flow. It's basically like, it was a little bit apples to oranges for me to see that, and it was eye-opening. And I started looking up gospel drummers, Aaron Spears, Teddy Campbell, Chris Coleman. Like, that changed my life, seeing those YouTube videos. Aaron Spears at Modern Drummer playing Usher's Caught Up, the triplet fills, like, that insane. Like, any drummer watched that. Yeah, the triplet fills he did, that like changed everyone seeing that. And that kind of just got me into like different styles of playing. So I got into fusion, into rock more, and this and that. And then in high school I was in a bunch of bands. I was just playing in different styled stuff, and then I got into like the cover band stuff. I got like those gigs and was in like a fusion like rock band, and then I ended up in this like kind of like pop hybrid fusion band called Fly Phoenix, and that was an incredible experience where I got to like really have the full, like, we get to play around and do different things in the city, and it was some cool guys with different vibes, and it was just like that. It kind of felt like we were in like a boy band in a way, because it was like the singer loved JT from like Justin Timberlake. He would listen to Robin Thicke all the time and all these artists. And then Nick, the guitarist, was all into like the b-boy, like hip hop, and he was like a model dude. And then the bassist was like a model with his like style. So it was a bunch of good looking dudes, and it was like people knew that. You're
a pirate ass.
Like, yeah. But no, but
you're a good looking dude too. Yeah.
But it was interesting because there was a little bit of that. That was the first band, and nothing against that, where it was like you kind of had to like be cool, you know what I mean? And like not be cool, we were all super chill guys, but like there was an air of like, let's be cool, you know what I mean? And and then from there, I remember one day Colin Prob Cause, at the time, he knew my sister, and they were looking for a drummer for a project, and he was doing some cool stuff, and came to my parents' place and was like, let me see you play. And he's like, do you want to drum for me? Do you want to go on like tour or do this and that? And I had started working at Apple at the time. And I remember he's like, we got this tour with a group named like Cherub. Like, we had already done a couple of shows, but I got to go. The first tour I ever did was with Cherub.
Wow.
And that was a wild experience as a first tour. But he kind of opened me up to that world of like, you're in the city, but you can like travel and play, you know? And that was like, oh, wait, this is really cool. And that was actually the spark that led to the COFRESI project, because I was using the sit down drum kit, started bringing in like the push and like Ableton. And then one day I was like, what if I stand up? Because I was like, I'm not using my foot as much, because I realized from the cover band, why are we layering all these kicks? Like I was really pocketed drummer. I wouldn't flam too much. Like Dyche always talks about flamming. That's when flamming is when there's a track and you're like off the track and the drummer's playing and it's like, it doesn't sound good. And if a shitty drummer's playing and you're giving a kick track and they're layering a kick, it's going to sound like crap. I had good timing, but I noticed it's kind of thick on the kick when we're layering a full kick drum over a full kick drum.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, with electronic music,
take out one of those transients, dude.
Yeah, no, for sure. And with Prob Cause, I was like, these kicks hit so hard. I was like, maybe I don't need to play the kick. Maybe just launch the top stuff and do all the top end and give that visual still. And that's kind of what led to like, some people were like, hey man, I like what you're doing back there. You ever thought about doing your own shows? And then at the time, this artist named Govinda, my manager at the time, Aaron, wonderful dude, he got me this gig, and he's like, well, he actually saw me at that gig, and I forgot how it linked up, but I ended up playing for Govinda at this small venue, and people were just like, that's fucking cool, like what you're doing. And they're like, you should do this as more of a thing, you know? And I remember at the time, I then did the Sandman video, and like, I guess it's like leading to that, but that was me realizing like, how do I showcase this, you know?
I remember seeing that. I went to Columbia, and like, I remember somehow your dad taught at Columbia.
He did,
right?
yeah, for sure. I went to Columbia too. I mean,
yeah, I swear you were like around in the ether, and I remember seeing that video and being like, dude, because actually what was funny was I was sampling the like dum dum dum, like all of those pads are really easy to put onto individual pads. And I remember I was sampling something, and then I heard yours, and I was like, yeah, this is way cooler. Like, because you had the live thing. Maybe like, Ryan, I don't know if you're finding it, but like we can just show people it. But we should definitely play the new version of the Sandman.
Yeah. So, I mean, to jump into that real quick, is I did the Sandman a while ago, and it definitely like kind of set the trajectory going for the project.
It got 1 million views, you said.
Yeah, I got over on YouTube. Yeah, actually, no, on Facebook too. I remember that was a trip. I remember being on tour with, I was about to go on tour with Autograph. No, I had been on tour with Autograph because the drummer needed to take a break. So I came in and got to go to like EDC Mexico and all this stuff with them. It was amazing. That's sick. And then my parents went to Hawaii, and they're like, come to Hawaii. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to Hawaii. My dad used to work summer school every year as a professor, and like props to them because they took us to Hawaii every single summer of my life till I was 27. Amazing. So we used to spend 2 months in Hawaii when I was like 3, 4, 5, then went down to a month. Then like every single year, literally till I was 27, I went to Hawaii. And that was one of those.
Jealous.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes me sound like all privileged and stuff, but it's like, no, they worked their ass off to get us there. Like, so it wasn't just like, oh, let's go to Hawaii. Like, no, he worked to get us there. It wasn't just like we're there, you know? But with the
Sandman.
yeah, with Sandman, I remember I was on tour with Autograph, and we had this break, so I got to go to Hawaii for a little bit, and I was like, I remember dropping it in New York. Like, I dropped it in New York, the video, and then I flew to Hawaii, and it was like, I was on my computer like commenting or doing this and that, and I don't know if it's because I was like traveling across the country, but it started to pick up so fast. I'd never seen a video do that. It like within like the first day I had like 100-something thousand, then it was like next day 300,000, then it was like 4 or 5, and in I think 6 or 7 days it hit that, or 2 weeks it hit 1 million, and I was like, what? Like, wow. I'd never seen that, and I don't know if it was because I was traveling, but it was like...
I don't think so. I've never heard anyone talk about when you post, you gotta fly
across
to
the world.
California.
That's the algorithm secret. Post in New York, fly to Dubai in 6 hours.
Yeah.
If not, you're done. No,
I think it was just like a cool piece of content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I appreciate that.
Song. Yeah.
And it was actually done out of just like kind of more for fun, jokey vibe. It wasn't supposed to be a serious thing. I was like, I'm just doing this for fun. And it's funny that the things that you do more for fun become the things that actually help you out, you know? So not always, but sometimes.
So before we go into playing the Sandman track, the new version, like a rehash, we can talk about, you know, why you did that. But like, you're going to be releasing a new project. And it's kind of what you were saying about the ones that are more fun. They're not, maybe you can take it.
Yeah,
I don't
no, for sure.
For you.
Well, I've been honestly in this like super just like dungeon creative mode, like last many months, making a lot of music. And I had finished a bunch of new original stuff. And I realized as I was playing a couple of shows, like I was always putting these flips, and people would always ask like, you know, I put out Sandman, I put out Goat Yay, and like they weren't really out. They're like on, you know, they're not on Spotify, but they exist. There's content for them. They're on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, whatever. Actually, those ones aren't on Bandcamp. But the point is, a lot of people start asking about some flips. Like I would always play the Banana song, like Tally Me Banana. Every sound checker, they're like, what is that song, dude? Like, are you putting that out? I'm like, no, it's just a flip I'm playing live. And then there'd be a few others that I'd have in sets, like Ray Charles Georgia, Stand By Me, Enya Only Time, like ones that I'd made just for sets. And I'm like, I can't really ever put these out, but like people keep asking and they're vibing so hard on them. It shows, how can I put this out in a way? And we had finished all this originals, and I started making for fun a couple more flips. I did like Under the Boardwalk. I did, the Beverly Hills Cop. Just a few for shows, and I'm realizing, I'm like, wait, we got this whole catalog of these flips that have never been put out officially, and they can't all go on Spotify, but what if I made a package that could come out that's like kind of like just like giving something that's nostalgic and unique to my fans and to people that just like music, basically making a flip like catalog release where it's going to be like 12 to 15 of these flips, like classic ones. A few I've put out that I've now remastered, and then like 6 or 7 new ones people haven't heard. And we're like, what if we just put this out as, you can just grab it on Bandcamp, or you can donate what you want. Some of them are going to be on SoundCloud, but it's not about that. It's about giving it to people, but the content I can make out of that. I can do really cool content for all these different pieces and have it that's part of shows, have things that go online, and, you know, even for reels on IG, like there's so many ways to hit this. And so even if they can't get out on Spotify right now, like maybe we'll get some rights cleared in the future, it can be something that I can just like contribute and give out of love, and just out of like, let's just create and just listen to something that you might connect with. Like there's going to be, out of these like 13 to 15, we're going to choose out of the 17. There's 17 flips I'm having to choose from. So it's a lot to like choose those 12 or 13 to 15, because we want to then put it on vinyl and get it out at shows and give a percentage of it to a cause, you know, give some of it, the proceeds, to a cause. So this is not just about, I don't care about making money off this at all. I just want to send some vibes out that I've never been able to get out, and make it accessible for people. They can just find something, they'll be like, damn, he did this one. Like I love that song. Like he did this one. Like, and the last show I played with Sack Squatch, awesome dude, really, really cool vibe. And I knew, I was like, this show, I'm gonna put a bunch of these flips in there. So I put like 10 of the flips in there, and it was so cool that after the show, people were like, bro, you did this one, like that one, and that, you did that one. And it was like, this solidifies like the project, the momentary thing of going and putting these out. I'm like, people do vibe with this stuff, and it's not about validation. It's seeing how stoked they are to hear something that they recognize, that's then flipped up and surprises them with something they haven't heard before. So it's nostalgia with refreshing new sounds and experiences that, they're just fun. And I'm just stoked to put something out like that. You know, if that makes sense. So
yeah, we should definitely run the Sandman one. I was gonna say a suggested name from myself. Yeah, Co-Flippy.
Co-flippy.
Co-flips.
That's not bad.
Co-flippies.
Co-flips. We'll figure. Yeah. Well, that actually is not bad. I'll just call it Pirate Flip Collection. Pirate's Booty.
You gotta think of it as like, I always thought about it as like, you choose a name, like,
Yeah.
who am I going, like, you're at the festival and you're like, oh no, you guys are going to see that, I'm gonna go see whatever, this name, like, you put it in that context. But I feel like that might be one of those ones where like, dude, just talking about like all the best tracks, dude, like the co-flippy mixes, like, I don't know. Anyway, that one's for free.
Sure. And I will say, like, about the project, some of them are for fun, like they're really fun vibe, and like some of them are a little bit deeper and a little bit more cinematic. And the Sandman one we're gonna check out a bit of, like, it is a little bit more of that like deeper cinematic feel, but it still is like a bop. And then when the drop comes in, you're like,
all your tracks
like,
are like bops.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah.
But it's definitely an interesting like hybrid of like, and to give a little more context to it, it's actually a flip of this guy Syml, Syml. He made his version of the Sandman. It's just him and piano and his voice for the movie Sucker Punch. And I had actually just heard this. Actually, my friend Chloe showed me this, and I was like, this is next level. And I was like, I need to do something with this. So I took his song and like kind of reimagined it, added all different parts and sounds, and that's what this is. So it's not like created from scratch. It's the same thing as Sandman, but an iteration of Sandman reworked into a much more like grandiose kind of piece. And it's cool because it like, yeah, it's something you can vibe out and listen to. And it takes a minute to like really pick up. So I'm like, if we listen to it, it's going to probably be like, it comes in, but it like grows.
Let's get it.
Yeah, you can I talk over it?
I mean, yeah,
playing?
we can talk over
okay.
it. Yeah.
But you can try to play it. I'll be like, turn up.
How's your volume?
It's good. Feels good. Yeah.
Okay.
Piano part.
And if you want to hear the music in this episode and what we have to say about it, join the Podducer Discord through the link below.
I mean, that one is like, it's not supposed to be like, oh, this big banger bopper. It's like more of a vibey one, but it is something nice to just listen to and kind of take in as like a different experience. You know what I mean?
It's big though, in the sense that it's very cinematic. I got hot listening to that.
Got a little sweaty. That's like when you hear something, you're like, oh, I haven't heard these headphones. It sounded good though. I was like,
it sounded good. Really cool. Yeah,
for sure. And that one, I did play at the last show. It like bangs when you hear the lows. It like bangs on a system, which is really cool. So it's not just like.
Has that one been mastered, or it's just like your master?
Yeah, I mean, I might do a little more touch on it, but it's kind of like I want them.
Sounds pretty clean.
I mean, dude, yeah, they're basically like, they're at point to like I could drop it out. I mean, like I could always do something this and that, but I think where it's at, I want them to be kind of not raw, but like organic and like not like perfect production. They have that like grittiness in a way. You know what I mean? So if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. Do you do a lot of your mixing and mastering?
Yes, I do. A funny thing, do you guys actually have like a towel, or not a towel, but like a wipe? It's got a little hot.
There's actually one right next to the bass over there.
Yeah. I didn't realize when you listen to music, it does bring heat to your body. I didn't realize that, so I'm sweating a little bit.
It also, this area, I don't have like proper air conditioning, so it gets a little hot in here.
Yeah.
In the winter, it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing that, through the years, I've sent stuff off. And as of now, like, I want to play almost one of my, like, actual originals that we're going to be putting out, because that I've really focused more on, like, the sound design and the mastering with those. And, yeah, I have basically for this new project and for quite a few recent things, like Sandman was self-mastered, the one that did the best thing ever for me. The Matisyahu tracks were self-mastered. Even some of the cleaner stuff, like there was the Westwood project, which is Illuminate, we sent off, and it was really well done. I just wish I had known actually about this high Q setting in Ableton, because when you have something on high Q setting, when you first put something into Ableton, it has a high Q on like some of the Ableton where I'd set it up. High Q is a setting that it adds a little bit of a high-end like zing and a little bit of what are they called, artifacts to the track. So if you put a track in Ableton, it's got high Q on, it'll actually peak, because it's adding these little tonal, like weird little things, and you don't really hear it.
Oh, is that in the bottom left-hand corner?
Yeah, that bottom left-hand thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and so I learned this from Killsmith at Infrasound. I was like, dude, I put one of your tracks in, and it was just constant.
Yeah, it wouldn't, they peak.
And then he's like,
what?
And then he's like, turn off high Q. And I was like, what do you mean? And I turned off high Q, didn't peak. So
wait, what does it do? So it's adding?
It's adding. I don't even know the exact thing, but most people don't know this. Like, high Q will add this, like, and it's this little high end.
I always wondered what that was. That's so annoying,
dude. And what's crazy is that whole Illuminate project. I remember, like, we took the masters and reprocessed something, and they were all exported with high Q on. Dude. But they were limited though, so you're not peaking, but they have a little more sizzle than I would have liked.
Is it like is it limiting or is it like soft clipping or hard clipping?
Well, we
or
ran
something
like Fab Filter 2 was like running at the end of the chain, so there was like kind of like having that, like even though if it was being high cued and having that like little like zing of stuff, it was being like controlled, so it wasn't peaking. Yeah. But that was interesting to learn. I was just like,
phone?
yeah, someone's phone is on. I think it's my phone. I just don't know where it is.
Oh, it's underneath the thing.
It's my mom. Should I answer it and be like, I'm in a podcast?
Good,
Dude,
yeah.
put her on the pod.
Yeah. Hello?
My God,
Hey,
those were delicious.
Mom.
Hello.
Hello. You're on a
Hi.
podcast right now.
Oh, really? Oh, listen, I just remember Sunday, your uncle Michael is coming with Elizabeth, Sunday we're having a gathering here, just us, not...
That's actually something to talk about, Magic Mike. Yeah. I'm actually glad you mentioned Magic Mike because he's someone that is very into the music scene and we connected with. But Mom, I want to talk to you after this podcast. We're actually in the middle of recording and you have now left your imprint.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I love you. We'll talk soon. Oh, there's Anna too. I love you. Bye.
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 Oh,
That's a good moment.
yeah, that's a good
She's
moment
so
for
delicious.
sure. So Magic Mike, let's get onto that then.
Yeah, real quick with Magic Mike, he actually not real quick, he's an awesome guy. He how do I jump to this? My sister did 23andMe with our family, and she was like, we have an uncle or potentially someone connected to us that's like another member of the
That's
family.
like also a pirate.
Not a pirate, he's on my dad's
Sorry.
side. No, he's on my dad's side. But I was basically playing a show in New Jersey, and this guy comes up to me before the show starts, and he's like, I think we're related. And like, I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, we're going to look into this, but I think we're like of blood. And I was like, no way. And my sister does 23andMe and finds out that, yeah, not to put anything on blast, but yeah, my dad's dad had an affair with a woman during things, and this child was born, and they never really found out who it was, and he has lived a whole life and looks almost identical to my dad, and they actually met a year and a half ago, and lo and behold,
Wow.
he does magic for fucking music festivals.
Whoa.
Yeah, his name's Magic Mike. Yeah, and he does more than that. He like does like emceeing, a whole big thing. He's been in the scene for years doing radio stuff. He's had a deep career with it, and like lo and behold, I did his festival Beard Fest that year too. He like put us on the festival,
Wow.
so that was
Does
funny.
Does he have a beard?
No, the Beard Fest. Most people that run it have beards.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But
So
like, yeah,
he does magic for music festivals? I just want to.
he's an incredible magician.
How do you? Because like you're standing next to a big stage. It's far away. You might not catch everything. How do they run that?
Especially at Beard Fest, I mean, it was definitely, you could see what was going on the stage. They had a few different magic acts, and like that was really cool because it was like the stage for magic was probably only like 300 to 500 people, so like you could see it. It wasn't like too far, and they were on mics and like showing things. It wasn't on like, it didn't even be on big screens. It wasn't that big of a show, you know. But it was really cool to see that, and he's an amazing person, and we've connected. He's actually coming into town on Sunday.
That's
and like
amazing.
Yeah, he's trying to book Matisyahu and I for their other festival, and like
that's a perfect transition. So
things,
I was gonna ask you, how did your Matisyahu collaboration come to be?
That's an interesting one. Well, that I got to thank Prob Cause for leading up to that opportunity, because I never would have met him if I had met with Prob. And we basically were playing Wakarusa. This is actually a great story. We were playing Wakarusa before Wakarusa stopped existing. Bless Wakarusa. But we were staying in this hotel, or a little tiny little ding of a little inn, or whatever you call it. Is it an inn? What's below a hotel? Inn?
Motel?
A motel. I was calling it inn. A motel. It was a motel for sure. And I remember just like waking up from this weird dream at like 6:30 or 7 a.m. We had gone to bed at like 2, but we had an early flight. We had to be out of there at like 8:30 or 9. So I get up and I was just like, oh my God, I want cereal. I don't know what it was. I just needed cereal so bad. So I go down to the lobby. I find the cereal, cannot find the milk for the life of me. I'm like, where's the milk? And the guy behind the desk is like, I have the milk. I was like, okay, cool. And he gives me the milk. I was like, he's the milk fairy. He's got the milk. So he gives me the milk, and I start sitting there eating my milk and cereal, and then I'm with my bags, and lo and behold, this guy comes out and he's getting cereal, and he's like, hey man, where'd you get that milk? And I'm like, you get it behind the desk, it's the milk fairy. And he's like, cool man, thanks so much. And he's kind of looking at me, and he's like talking about music, and he's like, you like Matisyahu? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you want to meet him? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, he's probably gonna come down a little bit. He's like, I'm his tour manager. I'm like, really? He's like, he might need to know where the milk is, so if you want to meet him, just stay around. I was like, word. I was like, that's cool. Like, I knew him, King Without a Crown. I used to listen to all this stuff. I was like, big fan for sure. And like, I had all my gear with me and stuff. So anyway, I waited, And like half an hour goes by, and I'm like, he's probably not coming down. Like that's just a thing that probably is not gonna happen. And as I was like gonna go up to the room, I remember I was like kind of getting my stuff together, and the door clicks open, and I freshly awoken Matisyahu appears through the door, making his way to the cereal. He grabs the cereal and he turns around and he says, "My boy told me you know where the milk is." That's a very true story. And like I was like, yeah, that guy has it. And he gets the cereal. He sits right down next to me. He's like, "What do you do, man? What do you do? I see all your gear." I was like, yeah, I do this drum DJ thing, and I showed him the Sandman video. Within 2 minutes of us talking, he looked at that and he's like, "Yo, I'm playing in Chicago. You want to open up for me?" Literally, like within like 5 minutes, it just all went down. And then Prob Cause's manager came down, and then Colin came down, and we all ended up hanging out. And basically, that was like that connection point was made, and it turned into my first opportunity. Where like a few months later, I was at City Winery, opening up for Matisyahu, and that created the connection. We talked about maybe working together at some point, and when we ran into him again at Electric Forest, my friend Pat Riley, and that was a wonderful moment too, because he was with this whole crew, and they were playing the secret stage, like the wood stage. I forgot what it was, like Marie, I don't know the name, but it was like a private big stage. And I remember his whole band and him were tripping on acid, and they were like, "You guys want to come jam?" And we're like, "What?" And we were like side stage, and he's like, "We'll let you know if you want to come jam." And they were like, "Bring your shit up, like bring your setup up, Pat, bring your guitar." So like middle of their set, they let us like walk up there. We met the band, like Nissen on the drums, all these dudes. And I remember playing, and Pat was like crushing it. And remember Modest being like, "Can you get a little weird for me?" And Pat like started throwing his effects, and Modest is like, "Yeah, that's the fucking shit." And then Nissen looks at me, "You want to trade?" Pointing to me at the kit. And I don't tell many people things this, but I got to play King Without a Crown on the drum set for Modest while Pat's playing guitar on that stage. And like it was just a crazy experience. Pat's wailing on the solos, and like Modest is feeling it, and he's like, "Yeah, like let's link up." And that led to me being able to go to New York and make Daylight with him, which was the first track we did.
Wow.
Which was kind of sick. And like I had to go out there. It was it during COVID? I don't think the first time was during COVID. Maybe it was. I'm like, how that's getting messy. But like I went out there and worked with them. That was not COVID, because I was there for 7 days, no issues. And I stayed out there, and it was agreement, like, if you come out and work with me, you got to make some music for me. So like I did some production for him, and just got to vibe out. And then yeah, it was really cool. That was something that had to come out on our end, because with this current manager, they weren't able to like fully support it. The guy used to work for U2, and he's not with that guy anymore, so he wasn't the most ideal figure. And I don't care if he hears that, because he was a gnarly guy to work with, and they're not working together. It doesn't matter anymore.
He was cutthroat. It seemed
very cutthroat. He's like, we were.
I mean, if you're working with U2, they just opened the Sphere. Dude. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Shit.
And he was Modest's guy at the time. Was just very cutthroat. Like, this is Modest, and you're a small guy.
This is like kind of tangent, but U2, how. I don't understand, and maybe I didn't grow up when they were more popular, but they have just consistently lined up the sickest shit. They're on everyone's iPods somehow. You can't take it off. You're
they had a deal.
I literally can't take your music.
Well, if you don't know, I used to work for Apple, and that was during that time. Like, they had a deal come out where they were on everyone's phone, everyone's iPad when you bought it. I don't know who did that deal. That's the smartest thing business-wise you probably ever heard.
They've stayed relevant
from that. Yeah,
forever,
for a very long time. And it's amazing. Yeah, they're the first people to open the Sphere up. Like, I wasn't surprised. I was like, my friend Ben Kovler, who runs GTI, who did book us for the Butt Tenders Ball with Sophie Tucker. That was so fucking cool. He's friends with Sophie Tucker, and then they were just at the Sphere. He was sending me videos of it. It looks absolutely insane. It looks like a giant version of the room in the Science of Industry, that theater where it covers you, Omnimax. It's like an Omnimax, but for like 10,000 people.
Yeah,
crazy,
way crazier. Yeah, 2023 edition. Yeah,
it's super nuts, but very cool though. I was just like, this is mind blowing, and I would love to. I don't even care about playing there. I just want to see a show there.
Yeah, I want to go.
Like, I just want to see something. Yeah. So
that's a wild set of events with the Matisyahu thing. Is he still swagged out, looking with the, what do they call it?
No, he told us that whole story. No, he actually got out of that. I mean, he actually had a few unique psychedelic experiences that opened his mind up to realizing that he doesn't want to be constrained by religion or any type of lifestyle.
So does he have different swag?
He did. He cut off his. He was a rap, like super, dude. Yeah,
that was like the thing that I remember watching, literally like MTV music videos before I went to school. I was like, this guy is sick.
And he told us when they were first touring, he would have his rabbi friends come out, and they would just trash venues. He'd like, because they didn't get to party, they would party.
Have you seen those videos where it's like Hasidic Jewish people, and they like add in like Hard in the Paint or something to them doing their dances, and it just like goes off.
It goes. Yeah. So they were throwing down. I mean, like he had a run with them, and then he's like, I can't bring those guys over because they're a little bit wild.
They're a little crazy.
But no, he's gone through like a spiritual transformation. Now he's got family and kids, and he's honestly a wonderful dude. Very, very level-headed. He'll give you his deep moment of focus. He'll look you in the eyes and be like, this is our moment, and he'll just fly away into his other moments. Yeah. So you have to like catch him at the moment.
Gotcha.
And that is what led to us kind of full circle coming back, and I had this idea for a Bob Marley flip, and showed it to Pat Riley, who I think was at the jam at Electric Forest, and Pat was like, "This Bob Marley sounds like Matisyahu. You should get Matisyahu on it."
Yeah.
And low key like hit Matis up and didn't think he would hit me back, and he was like, "That's actually kind of sick. Let's do it." So went back out to New York, made another track and put it out, and it's really cool. We have the Bob Marley Matisyahu flip, and
so we're not gonna play it here, but definitely go check it out. One of my friends sent it to me. Didn't know that we knew each other at all. Didn't know that I know you. Like, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is crazy. Like what? So anyway, go check it out. We can't play it because copyright.
Yeah. It's cool though that just happened. I'm just grateful that went down. You know.
Yeah.
And like even one thing I'll say in general, like, they've ever, you know, everyone reaches different levels of success, and even where I'm at and like growing toward, like regardless of that, I'm so grateful for the cool experiences I've had. Like I've had some really interesting things go down, and even like leading up to now, I'm like have a thing with Frank Zummo of Sum 41, the drummer. We got to link up and make some music, and that will come out in the future. And
Ryan had a question about that.
Yeah,
dude.
Bringing Ryan
something that is pretty interesting is that you've had some cool collabs.
Like
really cool
autograph
autograph, dude. That one is my favorite.
Oh, which one?
The music video
in
one,
the helicopter hangar.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
dude, so rad. What's the backstory behind? How'd you get into a fucking helicopter hangar?
It's funny when I immediately hear like any of those older tracks like that, I immediately will say I didn't know about low end resonance, and all those were just like, it's a great track, but like all the tracks pre that era, I was just running subs with like a lot of mids and highs. I did not know about like gritty like low end resonance. So like I will play those live. I don't listen to them that much because it's a lot of just top end sound. I don't hear the sub. So like not to even trash my own music, but I really wish I knew about like
that's how
gritty
like,
resonance.
Everyone kind of makes that mistake. You know what I mean? So
like I knew about low end and I was side chaining, but like I realized like you hear bass music, there's a lot of tonal resonance in like that low end layer where you can hear the grit and the grime and like the growl or the tone of the bass. You can't hear any low end on those tracks. A lot of my music in the past, because I didn't know, I just was running subs without like harmonic resonance, you know, and they still bang, but like I kind of have to like put a cap on like that was my past stuff, and then I have the newer stuff, you know. But that track regardless is like a cool vibe. And to be more on track with the question, so the autograph track, it was actually interesting. I remember hearing, and Nobody Knows they put out, and I was driving on 94, and I remember hearing that track, and I think I'd started working with them or talking with them, and I hit up Michael. I'm like, yo, can I get stems of that? Like, I would love to flip that. And he sent me stems, and I just had a great time making it. I wanted to make something that was like vibey, but also for shows, and they really dug it, and they were like, we know the perfect spot to film a video for this. And I was like, what? We're like, we have friends that have a helicopter hangar. And I was like, sick, like let's do that. And so they're like, let's get the guy to collab with you, and did a full shoot. I mean, they were chilling, but yeah, we got down and did this video at this helicopter spot. And I remember like trying to skateboard in it, and I got in so much trouble because I was like trying to roll a while. I was like, there's a whole thing of the helicopters and the planes, and I was like skating through them, and they're like, absolutely not. And I was like, but the ground is the smoothest ground I've ever felt. Like it was literally the smoothest ground I've ever felt. And I was like, this is like skating on butter. And they're like, stop. And I was like, okay. I was like, fine. But it was really fun.
We will talk about skateboarding as well.
For sure.
We'll hold that. The Sum 41 thing, just to touch on it quickly. That was like one of the first bands. Like I remember my sister and brother were doing church choir, and I would be sitting there listening to like Into Deep and like
such a good track,
movies by Alien Ant Farm, and like
oh my god, I gotta listen to Alien Ant Farm. Holy shit,
dude!
I need to like dive on some bands. I forgot. Like I heard Stained recently. I was like, oh, that one song was sick. Like there's a lot of bands that had huge impacts on us that I don't really tap into now, but I love hearing stuff from them and just being like, wow, that had more of an impact on me than I realized. You know, like even like Hoobastank, Crawling in the Dark.
Oh yeah. I was thinking more. What is it? Found a Reason to Be.
Oh, Reason. Yeah.
Reason.
That track's interesting too because they put that track out if people don't know, and everyone thought like pop music thought that was their sound. The Reason Is You, and it was very acoustic-y, chill. And like I watched their DVD, and they like go hard live, and they're like we'd have all these like moms and like 13-year-old daughters coming thinking we'd play a soft set, and we just fucking thrash, and their faces in the crowd were just like, what the fuck's happening? Like I thought I was gonna see like Taylor Swift's guitar, and then it's like this guy's like screaming, you know.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool, you know. It happens.
Yeah. The Sum 41 how did again? Let's
yeah.
go
So basically, I got on this agency that was awesome, Prism, and at
Shout
the
out
time,
Prism.
shout out Prism, fucking awesome. Shout out Munchie, wonderful dude. If you don't know him, you should meet him. Great guy. But yeah,
shout out Colton as well.
yeah, Colton
We've had
for
both.
sure.
Go check out their
Yes, check
podcast.
them
We've
both.
done
wonderful dudes. Much
we've
love
done
for
them
sure.
here.
Frank got on that agency for a bit, and he was looking for people to collab with, and saw my project and was like, "That's the dude." And like when I was in Colorado with Toma, we just got on a call with him. It was so cool. It was like literally talking to the drummer of this band that I've like watched so many music videos of, and he's just like chilling and had like an hour conversation with us. Didn't want to jump off. Was like, "These guys are cool. Let's talk." And listen to some music he did. It was great. And then we started this collab, and it's basically done. We actually have 2 versions of it. We have an original, and then I made a VIP already that he really fucked with, and it kind of is more what I would play in my sets. But he wants to pitch them both, so we're like in pitch process still. But like,
Oh, wow.
just regardless, super cool. We got to go to their show at what was it, at the not Tinley Park.
Tinley Park's a venue, but
I think it was Tinley Park. Yeah, it might have been Tinley Park, but we like got to go see the full band, and like it was so sick. It was with the Offspring. They ripped. Offspring is sick live, but like seeing Frank and them just slay. They're so clean, and they have all their songs so locked. I mean, they've been together for like 20 something years,
Yeah,
dude. Like
yeah.
so much respect on that.
Yeah.
And like I was like, wow, like, and it was just so cool, like have a moment with him, meeting him in person, talking about family, like life, asking about, you know, drumming and different experiences, and the nicest dude, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's just cool. Yeah, I'm very grateful to have stuff like that, you know. And it's just weird things happen you never expect, you know. So
yeah.
it's part of it.
Let's go into like the live setup and kind of how you do that, and also, you know, you're talking about like DJing and how you don't really do that, and just kind of how that plays into getting gigs and whatnot.
100%. I mean, we've actually gone through a pretty big transformation of, I have gone through a big transformation of setups in the last year. Excuse me. I basically used to always run live percussion, and I'd realize that a lot of shows, it's great for big festivals when you're playing a smaller venue and you're 4 feet from the crowd. A snare drum and cymbals are very loud, and they're going to overtake the music. So I started to realize, I was like, how can I still do my live thing but have drums that are maybe electronic but are still tonally real? And I started to dive into like acoustic, like what they're kind of called, like acoustic electronic, but not really. They're still electronic drums. But Remo makes these amazing shelled drums, part of the EAD series of their digital kits, and they're actual like I was using these 2 I think they're 10-inch snares on left and right of my setup, and lo and behold, they have the 10-inch shelled digital hybrid acoustic snare that you can then go deeper with, and not just use the Roland samples. Run these samples from Drum Tech that have some,
Oh yeah, Drum Tech has.
Dude.
My buddy got the
Yeah.
Drum Tech drums, and I was like, these sound real.
Crazy, yeah.
They sound like a real drum kit.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is, how can I take the setup I have and make it into a digital format that I could still layer? Like if I play like a big festival, I can add my real percussion and like cymbals and stuff over that. But for a core DJ set, let me have my pad, my push, my computer, and then these 2 drums on these stands that have the PD8s with the snares that can just pop up and be the quickest load in on and off. So it's not going to like affect big changeover times. And I can basically put these Drum Tech sample sounds in, that the point I'm making about the Drum Tech is like when you hit a snare drum, for it to sound real, you have to have tonal variance. It's not going to sound real if you have the same sound triggering every time.
Yeah.
These sounds are so detailed that even the ghost notes, when you're playing ghost notes, there's a subtle tonal variance to every ghost note. So when you hit it, it's the sample, there's a sub-sample that changes tonality. So your ear is hearing...
Do you know how the tech works with that?
yeah, it's just like a sample layer, and in the drum module, it's got main sample
a
and
lot of samples. Like,
but no, just for each snare, like each drum has 2 layers. It has
Yeah.
the main sample and a sub-sample.
Okay.
So even my cymbals have main sample, sub-sample, and it creates a tonal variance that when so I basically programmed this setup to have
Okay.
real drum sounds and digital sounds, and I can manipulate them, and I can change EQ, and I can run effects, which I couldn't do before with my acoustic drums, and they're running through the interface. And I've now played probably like 5 or 6 gigs with them, and sound guys have been like, that sounds fucking awesome. Like it literally, the snares and everything, they sound so crispy, and you can see that there's still like a drum. But what it allows me to do is I can be in that booth context. I can go play a show and be 4 feet from a crowd or 1 foot from a crowd, and there's no quank quank from the drum overtones that are not in the mix. Everything running goes right into my interface, in through Ableton, comes in with the music, blends over it. I take layers out, or will EQ things from other people's tracks out to fit the drums in, and I can on the fly change the samples, the EQ. And I've never been able to do that. Like I can't have a real drum and be like, I want to add a little reverb. Well, I could do that, but this has made it way easier. I can run like digital effects on them and change the samples on the fly or make preset kits. Like it's opened up almost more opportunities and limited a bit because I'm not hitting as many cymbals as much. It's more like I can do like the edges of the pads as cymbals or like bigger tones, but it's been a newer discovery of like, we make this more about the music and not as much about like, yes, it's very important that I'm doing this live. Everything, still keep that, but make it more about the sound of the music you're hearing live and still get that percussion element, over it. And that's why it's like almost like the Power Rangers type thing where like this setup that
the Megazord
the Megazord, literally there's like different layers. There's like the fundamental, which is the fundamental of it is just my push, the DTX Multi 12 on my computer. That's the fundamental. Then the next layer, like if I have to do a show and not have any room, I can do it on that and still do my push, still do some drums. The next layer is I add the 2 wings. The wings have the 2 snares with the shelled bodies and then PD8s that are lined up. And then what are they called? There's this other pad, LPD1. There's this other like bar pad I use. So there's like these like 2 bar pads at the top, then the PD8s.
Yeah, they're like, because you can smack
LPD8. I'm gonna forget the name of them, but they're like
Is
not.
it the Akai one or no?
I actually have one in my backpack in the room, but it's LPD. I don't want to sound like ignorant about my setup, but yeah, it's like specific pads that emulate what I was using with my chopper cymbals or different hi-hat tones, and I feel very comfortable with it, And at the same time, that's the second layer. The big layer is you take that same setup, a couple more frame points, you can have real crash, real splash, real chopper cymbal. So it could be like the hybrid kit, which I will use at some bigger festivals, where it'll be like boom, and then it'll have this extra layer of real cymbals and percussion around it. So it's like,
what is a chopper?
Oh, a chopper cymbal.
I know splashes.
So a chopper is like compressed layers of metal that go chick, 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 like they're kind of like have a rotary shape at the top. It looks like a helicopter, like chopper type, and they like are 3 layers of metal that collide, and you can change the compression of how tight they are. So you can get a nice little tight hi-hat, or you get a and they're called chopper. You chop.
So is a hi-hat a chopper? Or that's
not technically, because a hi-hat you're controlling the open close of it.
Yeah.
Choppers
are
just
top
sit.
of each other.
Yeah,
Okay,
and you could like layer 2 choppers and do some weird stuff. You can do anything with drums. You can layer things up.
Some of the new people that are on Instagram that are like dunking stuff in water and like doing crazy stuff.
Like molasses and Gatorade make really cool sounds. And I'm just kidding, but that is really badass. Like there's a guy that does like sound effects to movies based on just like sounds of these drums and like. I'm not doing that, but I think it's really cool.
I know, yeah.
I think it's super cool though.
It is cool.
And I love choppers. And it's funny, part of all my acoustic stuff right now is actually in my drum studio with like actual drum kit, because I'm actually practicing more drum stuff because I have some gigs on the real kit that I'll be doing, and that's my bread and butter. And I'm like, it's cool to kind of full circle get back to that. And so,
is that full flex? Like the setup you were talking about, the last one that we were talking about?
With it doesn't have a live kick drum, but it has like. Basically, it's the 2 tonal snares that are digital and acoustic. I could even have a bodied acoustic snare coming off the left side, and then I have my PD8s, LPD8s, top with bar pads, and then I'd have 2 16 real crashes and 2 chopper pads and like a tambourine and a timbale. So it basically would be a digital hybrid. That's like the big setup. That's only when I do like the bigger show. But
so when you're booking shows, obviously these gigs, it's so easy to just bring your USB drive and plug it in and just be like, okay, that's an easy changeover. But for you want to be like, all right, this is basically set up. I just got to plug it in. Like, how do you kind of get around that?
Well, I learned, a lot in the past that unless you have the time for it, you don't want to have like a long changeover, because then you're like the black sheep artist that's like, everything stopped because I need to set up, which is still a little bit of the case, but not really, because I've learned to now preset the setup where I can literally go into a venue like I did this weekend. I just check my interface. All I need is the interface and the computer checked. And on the side of the stage, I can build the whole setup. And because I know how everything routes and links, I just blink, 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 plug it up. Within 2 minutes, I can just be like, and we're good to go. So I've kind of figured out how to check the audio and then make sure that's good. And then on the side of the stage, I can preset. And even if I don't get a check, I know that I can get it set up where I can have it somewhat pre-plug and play, that it is not going to take 10 to 15 minutes. I can do it within 1 to 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be taking too much time out of my set or causing a dead space in a festival. I want it to keep the energy up. And then Vachi, eventually, what I can do too is like have the just interface and computer just to have a starter track that as I'm still dialing it in, it can still be going, but I'd rather have it like set up before I start. But it is pretty quick as long as I get a stage hand or just one, boom, boom, boom. And then worst case, if I don't have the space, I can then reduce. And even at North Coast, they had a situation where there was a right monitor. I could not use my right wing of the setup. I couldn't use that additional snare and the 2 PD8s. I had to just use the left side and then set up my pad on the other side where it usually is and put my push here.
You had to, figure it out. Yeah.
But luckily I've had enough experience that I was able to still be comfortable in that moment and still alter the set a little bit where I'm not hitting a couple of additional sample pads I want, but I'm still able to do what I want to do.
Do you ever feel like it's a deterrent to have so much gear? Obviously, I think it's a more special thing when someone shows up with all of that.
It's a gift and a curse, I would say, because it's so much more fun to perform with something that I can interact with and be connected to. But yeah, at the same time, I can't say I've not felt a little bit like, damn, when someone can just walk in with a backpack and USB and just plug in and then fucking walk away and just be like, I did my thing.
Yeah,
so there's so it is like, I respect that, but I'm kind of trying to meet in the middle where like I used to do way too much and now I'm trying to do like still a lot, but a little bit more working a little bit smarter than harder.
Yeah. And going back to what you said in the start of this, which is, you want your live setup. You want to play a good live show.
Oh, of course. Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to come in weak with that. So I feel like part of that is, showing off your skills and whatnot.
Oh, for sure. I think that I want to, but even as of now, like I used to be more of like, oh, I want to show off the drums and all these cool chops. Very important, but you can't do that for an hour and a half and have people be like, oh, it's all drums. Like now I'm like, I have those moments, but I want it to be more about the music and create a really cohesive, like multi-genre experience, which is, we haven't really touched too much on that, but I've really evolved into that as of late, where I realized I've always made stuff in different genres. I'm not like making like jazz fusion and going into like dubstep, but I will, in the realm of electronic, I mess with everything from, like down tempo, like some boom bap trappy type stuff, worldly music, D&B a little bit. I'll dive into like more like swag out beats, and I'll go into stuff that's like more like dance Latin hybrid, and then stuff that's very housey dancey. And I figured out ways with these new sets to really blend all of it in a cohesive way where you're not getting like blah splat of a million different genres. There was like a story or like a cohesive experience of like, we're starting here, then we're going here, then we're going here. You don't know what's going to come, but it's going here. Then we're taking it here, bring it back down, then boom, surprise you, then this and that. So I like making it an experience where you don't know what you're going to expect, but it's going to be something that feels like it flows. And like, that's been the biggest compliment of the last few shows I've played, where there haven't been a million shows because I've been focusing on just getting the music, before I get back out on heavier on the scene. And speaking of which, Maddie O'Neill is texting us, wonderful person, and we are working on a collab as well. And hell yeah, she definitely she's vibing on our track, and she's gonna be sending it over for me to do my thing. So nice. Shout out Maddie, thank you for working on that. But it's about the music, and like I am focusing more on just creating a really special experience for shows. And as I was saying, the best compliment I got was that these shows flow and there was never a dull moment. Like I remember Import and like Spades come out to my show in Black Box, and I never met Import, but really cool producer, really big on sound, and he was like, dude, I've never seen you, but that was like so refreshing to see something that I didn't know where it was going, but it hit the spots right. I got my bass, I got my weirdness, I got my like emotional, I got the dance, like it's all over, and like I'm trying to encapsulate all that into like this unique multi-genre experience. And that's also what the new original music is leaning toward, is that not every song being full multi-genre, but like some tracks, like this track Cubano, which you might go over, like that's like a perfect example of multi-genre, because it's showing you're starting here, going there, you're switching it up.
I think you showed me this cohesive. One we went climbing one time, I'm pretty sure we're listening to the car. Maybe let's run that one, Cubano.
Play part of that one, for sure. You'll see it kind of takes you on a different like space. It's like starts here and then goes there.
Oh yeah, this is the one. And if you want to hear the music in this episode and what we have to say about it, join the Podducer Discord through the link below.
That was just fun because it just takes you in like a different space. You like think it's somewhere and then it's like, nope, it's going somewhere else. So it's kind of fun to experience that.
The Cuban music, it's just so happy. Like there's what's that one? I can't. Oye como va? Is that what it is?
Oye como va.
I think that one's just so happy. I don't know. Anyway, it just makes me want to be in Miami. Anyway, something I wanted to talk about. Also, we've been going for a minute, so I feel like we can start kind of winding this down. But before we got into this, we had a little like fingerboarding session, and I know you also skateboard. How did you get into the fingerboarding? Because this is a love that something both you and Ryan share, and we were just informed that Ryan's camera's down, but Ryan's here. You saw him earlier, but anyways, he's probably gonna talk. How did you get into the fingerboarding?
I think I was into it when I was like young at first. Like I remember like having like some tech decks and building like some like cardboard ramps or something, but didn't mess with it much. It was like just little toy around stuff. I wasn't like learning tricks or anything. I pick up my finger. And I remember seeing like when I first was like, damn, that's actually kind of cool. There was this video on YouTube. It was this kid named Mike
Schneider, dude.
Mike Schneider, but then this other kid named something Baumgartner. I'm gonna look this up, but Disney did a special on fingerboarding.
Oh yeah, I remember you guys were geeking about this.
Disney has like a full breakdown of how to do the gnarliest tricks. They literally did it the highest end, like slow motion, like capture. It's this video series that I was like, no way. There's like high end fingerboarding shit. So I'm like watching these videos. I'm like, damn, he's doing some kick flips and doing like nollie trays, like doing all these tricks. I was like, what? And then I ended up being like, where can I get a nice board? Like these are really good. So I went on a search. I'm like looking on Amazon, got like a shitty one. I'm like, this ain't it. I remember then finding this company called Famous, and shout out to Famous Decks, because I was like, these look sick, the graphics. I got one and like did the tape up, and it felt so cool. I was like, whoa, I want to learn how to do this. Like this is super cool. Like I could do basic ollies. I was actually doing it with the wrong fingers. I was doing it with my ring finger and my pointer at first. I was like this, and then I saw these videos, and this girl that was like a big YouTuber fingerboarder, she's like, if you're using your ring finger and your pointer, you're a poser. You're not really. You gotta use the middle finger.
You're pushing Mongo.
You're pushing Mongo. And I was like, this girl's calling me out. And I was like, I gotta fix my style. So I remember like I was in Colorado up in my sister's place, and I really started to like practice it and learn a couple of tricks. And it took me a minute to get like, I remember getting a kick flip good. It was like weird with the two fingers. I was like, how do I figure this out? And I would get them some days, lose them. And then it really clicked when I broke my leg skating, like I think like 2.5, 3 years ago now. And I couldn't skate. And I was like, well, I have some fingerboards. Let me get some fingerboard shit.
Yeah, this is pretty low impact.
Yeah, low impact for sure. And like I ended up like seeing, I think it was this guy Roman Angelov and then like Nico FB on Instagram, and I was like, holy shit, there's these dudes that have swag and like do these tricks. And I was like, I need to get into this a little deeper. And it was honestly like during COVID, so sick to have like a little skate park in my place. Like,
yeah, you have like a skate park.
Yeah, well that was like it was like basic at first. It was like just some IKEA furniture, and I would take the little ledges off the legs off of the IKEA black things or the white ones. Perfect ledges if you like connect them, and I would like glue them, put some magnets. I had like a magnetized setup. It was so funny, and that was so cool. It was like a modular setup, and then like I realized there's this dude like Loft FB that makes marble stuff, and this other guy, he's actually an ex-pro skater. He was doing, Fabrizio Santos makes these incredible pieces, and I reached out and I got some actual like nice stuff. And I remember Black River, I got a half pipe from them. Like, so if you go to my place now, I've got a marble kitchen counter that's got like these cool ledges and like these different things, and I've got like some other modular pieces. I got a full vert ramp, I've got a mini ramp. My favorite thing is honestly just this black ledge that I have that's like really high and long, and it's just like perfect. And I've got like quarter pipe and ledges on the side. The little siding when they built the thing in the kitchen for like the edges of the counter, perfect height. When I put these ramps up to it, it's like a upper ledge that I can pop into and grind from one ramp to the next. It's hilarious. Like it wasn't meant to be built like that, but it's like the best little spot I've had. Yeah. It feels so comfortable and very therapeutic, you know, like to learn tricks and the same process you've had with skateboarding, where I'll learn something and that gratification of like, you know, I never could do kickflip crooked grind on a real skateboard, but when I learned how to conically flip the board so it lands in that like position to grab it and slide it, it's so cool, the feeling of like locking something in and doing it well.
And you can bring it anywhere.
Yes.
Think about how many spots are in the city. Think about how many spots are just in your home.
Oh, for sure. I actually found the first legit, I was thinking of you, the first legit street spot I found outside was after the Cubs game with my dad and Chloe, and we were at the spot waiting for the Uber, and literally outside this diner was a window like ledge, and there's people like eating inside.
Yeah, you're just like,
no, it was like the perfect cement with this long like 4-foot metal edge ledge. It was just the windowsill, and it's for a diner, and it is like the perfect ledge to just hit on. And I was like filming, I even put on my story, like people are eating and I'm like doing like kickflip nose grind, and then I did like a 540 flip like in the same line, and it actually looked pretty cool. It was hilarious. I was like, this is that real street fingerboarding. I'm like a badass now. I'm just kidding, but it was really cool to experience that and then be like, oh, little things I've learned now, like to see those tricks in the streets, like kickflip front nose, like I did a tray flip Smith out. It was like really fun to apply what I'd learned and be like, this is really satisfying. Now, no pursuit of that in any serious form, but like for people that want to get into fingerboarding, they do have contests in Germany where they have pretty high price of first place. I'm not nearly at the level of what these guys can do, because they can do all the switch stuff and I can't do like switch heel flips and all that stuff, but there's some techniques guys have that I will probably never learn, but I will always be a fascinated, you know, someone that is involved heavily with it and will love it, because it's always been there for me, and it's something that you can always evolve upon and do.
And you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, and you can't break your legs.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, the security doesn't kick you out for doing it either.
yeah. I did once, like, I think I broke a nail once.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, I broke my nail.
my nail. Yeah.
Better
No.
than broken leg, though.
Yeah, for sure. I did like try a trick and like it clipped the and it fucked my finger. I was like, you can get hurt doing this. I was like, fuck this. But no, it was actually pretty cool to like, just to have that. And I love it. I've even like, as of recent, I learned like impossibles into like tricks and like and it just feels so good that impossible I've been trying to learn for like 2 years. And so to like learn something, it's a very life lesson kind of experience with fingerboarding, because you will try and try and try something, and you might not get it that one day, you might not get it the next day, but when you think about it and find out what you're doing wrong, you analyze what's not working and what you can improve upon, and then you make the right adjustments, and then you apply yourself, and then you land it. It's like the fucking coolest feeling. And that's like life. Like we're gonna try and try and try. You know, you want to work smart, not harder. But when you actually apply yourself and you make everything come together and it makes sense, and it's still not working, but then it finally clicks, it's fucking awesome.
I mean, it sounds like it's another practice for you.
Yeah,
you know, it's
for
just
sure.
like but it's more, you know, just something you do whenever you're just like fucking around.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like make music and then like do some fingerboarding, or like fingerboarding while you're making music?
No, I mean,
or,
like I'll definitely
keep
take
them
breaks and
separate?
go. Like, no,
Yeah.
I've had like sessions where I'll be 3 hours deep in a session. I'm like, oh, I need a break, and then like I'll go to the kitchen. I'm like, oh, you got the lid? I'll do a
You're
little
just,
trick.
like, doing a little
And I'm like OCD with it, though. I won't leave unless I've gotten like one trick I was going for. So I won't
Yeah.
try the hardest trick. Like I'm I'm not gonna try tray flip crook. I still haven't gotten those yet. But like I remember I was really trying to learn kick flip crook, nollie flip outs, and that was like. When I was first learning fingerboarding, I almost missed a flight because I got OCD with it. And I
think Tomo was telling me about this.
I couldn't get a kickflip back Smith, and I was so annoyed with myself, and I literally was like not leaving for the airport. And then I finally got it, and I'm so fucking lucky I did that, because I would have probably missed my flight. And that was the first moment where I'm like, this is too serious. And you know what the funny thing is about that? A big fingerboarder guy who was a huge account, he stopped fingerboarding, and he made a whole post that it had ruined his life. And it not ruined his life, but he was taking away from his family, from his kids, from his work. And I understood, because as good as that guy was, I can't imagine how much he focused, isolated on some of those tricks. To do some of those tricks, you'd probably go nuts for 5 hours before you landed. And I remember asking him, like, bro, like, why? And he's like, I asked him, like, I've gone through that too myself with other things in life, and I've had a moment where I almost missed a flight. And he's like, dude, if you thought you missed a flight, you have no idea what I've dealt with. Like, I bet that dude's like fucked family shit up from fingerboarding. And it's like that to talk about the dark side of it. But I've seen the dark end. Like, this dude literally almost lost his wife and his kids for fingerboarding.
I mean, it's like, you know, some people might not really
Understand
get it,
yeah.
but at the same time, it's kind of relatable to anything in life.
Yeah,
so
it's like
you get a little too obsessed. You get a little too, like, it could be, I feel like what's way more common, gaming. You know what I mean? Like, you get way too into a game, and then all of a sudden you're better at playing World of Warcraft than you are at real life, or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
You know, I've loved VR for a while, and like I don't have much time right now to play as many games, and it's almost like gaming is such a luxury to me. If like I have a Steam Deck, and the moment of my day when I get that 20 minutes or half an hour to play with my Steam Deck, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I take it as such a luxury and such a unique thing that I will work. Like, sometimes I'll do it like you can play the Steam Deck in bed. So I've like woken up in the morning, like quick little session on like Session or like a skate game. But that's not serious. That's not going to make me money. That's not going to do anything for me. That's going to give me joy. So I'm aware of that. So I'll do it for a moment, and I'll be like, I have not touched this again until I get shit done. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like if I'm ever playing games at random, I'm slacking, you know? So I don't play games
I feel
at
that.
random.
I don't play. Yeah, it has, like, literally, I'll take like a Friday night to play games. If I'm going to be like, this is my night off. If I'm not going to go out, I'm just going to be like, all right, I'm not going to do anything. But I haven't gotten into a game in a while.
Yeah. At the same time, though, like, if something is bringing you a lot of joy and like peace, and it's maybe therapeutic, maybe it's like regulating yourself, it's helping in different ways, like, that can be a special thing. Because I've definitely been down, like, we've all been down, up and down, and like sometimes when I've been down, like playing a skating game or like putting on VR and having that experience for half an hour has literally made me feel like, oh, that's so cool, I could experience that, and like I feel a bit better.
I feel
actually.
that way with like movies or something. Like, I used to play like competitive shooter games, and like I can't just like casually pop into that because I want to be really good. Yeah, and people will just get sweaty on you. So like, yeah.
Well, there was one Modern Warfare game. It was the last one I'd played. I didn't ever get super into that, but I remember there's a scene in one of those where you're like, what game is this? Like one of the newer ones where it's like a terrorist attack, and there's like a kid and his child walking down the street, and they just get fucking blown up in front of you. And, dude,
it is the most I don't know that one. Yeah.
Graphic.
But I mean, Modern Warfare is notorious for just like crazy stuff like that.
It was like chill, and it's like showing like almost like the Terminator scene where everyone's chilling and then they show the future. I forgot what it was, but like a car bomb or a bomb goes off and you see a woman and a child get blown up in front of you, and that was like
I'm trying to enjoy my day.
Yeah. And it was wild that I know those games are in some way maybe connected to the military, where they're trying to get people in to be in the military, but like why would it, also like Battlefield, no, they show the real shit of war. Like they'll be like, this is gnarly, like, so they're like on it and off it in a way. Like it's like, maybe you want to go shoot people, but no, don't do that. Like look how actual the repercussions of the reality of this is. Like you're killing people. You know, it's like not in a game, but like I almost think like to just do that
I would
over
like
and
to
over.
escape more than watch something that's like that.
Of course, yeah. And that's why, like, you know, I will say No Man's Sky in VR, they just did the foveated rendering update for PSVR 2, and I've been waiting for that. Foveated rendering is when it tracks your pupil. Like the VR now is to a point where the systems can track where your pupil's looking in the scene, and it renders 4K just at the pupil point. So everything around it, if you look, maybe look blurry, but when you're looking at it, it makes things so crispy in 4K. And that's the whole reason I got a PSVR 2, is to play No Man's Sky. So the fact they just updated it a month ago, I wasn't even touching it. All these YouTubers are like, it's the best VR game ever now, because it's a full universe you can experience and it go full 4K. And I'm like, oh my God, like it's not it's I've only played it only like even after that update probably an hour and a half. I can't wait till I have a day where I'm like, I'm gonna play that for 4 hours. I would love to do that. That'd be sick. But not feel like I'm slacking. Like you're slacking. Because I'm like, you could be making music, you could be working on something that's making money, you could be making content. But we have to be conscious that in this day and age, like we're constantly trying to chase, like be relevant, this and that. And honestly, at this age, like I have a lot of things coming that like in this very moment, I'm not caring about being the most relevant. I want to be like core to my craft and make something that's special, and then come out with the power of like, here's my content, this and that. But I am not posting every day right now. I'm not on my stories or on Instagram or social media every day. And it's fucking refreshing, because I think that like people are so caught in the momentum of like, I have to be relevant, I have to post every day. It'll make you fucking crazy, and they don't realize it, but like it will. And like you're not even living life or enjoying it at that point. You're just thinking of what's the next thing to post, what's the next thing to get other people to see. For some of it's like cool to post, but a lot of it people do for validation, because they're not happy and they need some kind of like validation from people seeing their stories or their experiences. And again too, with social media, like a lot of we all know this, but the facade element, like I know some people, I'm not gonna say names, that I thought were freaking crushing it because they got a lot of numbers and views, and I hit them up, I'm like, how you doing? They're like, I'm fucking broke and I have no shows. You know what I mean? And it's like, but you look like you're crushing it online, but the reality is you're not. And it's like online you have clout, but are you making money? Are things happening? No. And it's like, how do you then monetize that? You know, so a lot of people are figuring that out, because it's a very interesting thing. Like I could go do streams and be on Twitch and this and that, but I don't have that core desire to constantly be streaming all the time. I don't have like that thing, and I might get back into that, but it's got to be from a place of really wanting to, you know. And if there's other ways to kind of navigate and exist still with like other things than just being like, look at my reel, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what the industry's gone to, just that. It's like you're literally your social media, and I'm kind of like, I don't think so. So whether that helps me and hurts me in certain ways, sure, but like I'm still gonna succeed in different ways, you know, without that being like the core thing I have to do.
Well, you have a lot of dedicated people that like your music, and you know, I feel like the real struggle is like the build, and you've done that, so it's, you know. But I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah,
well, I can give you the honest reality, which I don't mind discussing, is in the industry you actually have like a 3 to 5 year timeline, and if you don't pop off in those 3 to 5 years, you're kind of stuck where you're at. So the reality is I did get a lot of success, but I didn't get to like, not the point that I wanted to. We're just, actually COVID happened, dude. I had like probably the biggest lineup of shows, over 6 figures in shows coming in that year, all of them canceled. Literally had to like go back to ground zero. Like, how do I like go back up? And I'm still recovering, but like things are fucking dope, and I have a lot of cool things happening. But it's been a choice to like continue this, because I could have been like, I'm gonna go into business or use my degree or go work for Apple again or do something that's like more lucrative. But I'm so passionate about this that like I'm staying here, and now we have all this music to come out and these different things, and like the show's feeling so good. I love performing. I love seeing people react and seeing the energy. That it's not about me being like, look at all the cool stuff I did. No, my favorite thing is seeing people vibe out on something that you made and sharing that energy and making it something that they can connect to and experience and be like, damn, they can leave that show being like, that was fucking sick. I feel so good. Like the thing when you watch a movie, you walk away feeling better. Like my mom jokes, she's like, you're doing musical therapy because you're giving people like that experience. And in a way we are, you know. Some sets, like I've seen a set, like I don't know what artist, but it was like deathcore dubstep metal, and I felt like scared as shit. And I was like, maybe I don't feel this way. Like I felt more scared leaving that set than happy. but I still understood the energy. You know what I mean? And maybe people need that because they're dealing with that crazy shit. And that
Yeah, to
gets,
get
like,
over
like metal,
that.
like it's like, oh, get that energy out, you know? So there's that
Yeah.
different ways in music, but yeah, it's interesting. So
Yeah.
Some of
Well, you
that.
got to do what's right for you.
Mhm.
And like, you know, I don't know who's making these rules about 3 to 5 years, but I feel like COVID kind of threw that out the window. So I wouldn't really.
Oh no, that was thing
Yeah.
from like literally 7-8 years ago, like where I was at, kind of was like, okay, there you're at. Let's see where we're gonna
Yeah.
go. But now it's like I'd rather have a project.
Who's using those metrics? Like, did someone specifically
No, there
tell
were
you that?
definitely people in the scene that literally told us this. Like, I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
who, but people
Yeah,
that
yeah.
work for bigger artists that are playing the game very well, that are top tier, like running it, and they're like, this is what's up, you know, like. But at the same time, I've noticed that's for the short term, and I'm not looking at my project as a short term. I'd rather be something that's like long term and not just like stuck in one specific area or genre, because that can limit you, and also, you know, help and hurt in different ways. But I'm also a drummer. I love performing with people, so I'm doing my thing. But going into this next year, I'm gonna be having some drum gigs with people. I'm linking up with people that, you know, there's talks of Prob Cause and I getting back together and doing some shows. He just came off of Grizz stuff. They're gonna be going potentially back. We'll see what's up, but he has time to do stuff, and he's like,
Yeah.
I don't want you.
'Cause
Or, no, I don't. He's,
Grizz
I
is
don't,
taking
he's
a
like, I don't need you, but I want you.
Hell yeah.
You know, so it's kind of
Awesome.
cool, and I'd love to link up with him. Wonderful dude, and other artists too. You know, playing with Maddie or different people that I'm doing a thing for Pretty Lights After Party, playing drum kit. You know, so
Yeah.
I'm fully in my zone, and I'm so excited with the music coming out. And there's so much of it. I'm like, I've got 16 originals and like 17 flips we're sitting on, so that's like 30 something songs to like work with for now. You know, and beyond that, you know,
Yeah.
and make a bunch more. So I now have the ammunition. It's about making the content and all these flips. I can't wait to make the additional content for this stuff, because we're doing this one thing actually tomorrow with a drone with the Sandman. We're gonna like start ground level at the city, and he's gonna pull out a 45-second shot close and just a full pull out shot that's like gonna have the whole city side. And I don't know if we're supposed to fly drones over the buildings, but for 1 second, too bad.
Might
You know,
figure it out.
yeah. So we'll be quick on a quick sweep, but like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the content to be made for these, and just get these vibes out, and then play the
Yeah.
shows, and then put out more original music, and just keep that process going. And also, I love education. I want to get back into, or I've been doing, you know, little lessons on the side, but I have so many tricks and tats, and I love helping producers. You know, with the section of with marketing, I did learning about the SWOT analysis. You know, I tell a lot of producer friends, if you want help, do a SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? And what are your threats? And strengths, and break it down into music, like, what are you good at? Weaknesses, what are you bad at? Opportunities, what do you want to achieve? And threats, what's holding you back? You know, so it's like, you can break that down to different levels, and people have all different variations of that. Like, what they want to achieve is this, but like, what's holding them back? I don't have time. I don't have the creative output. I get stuck on my ideas. I can't figure out how to make a kick drum sound good. I can't figure out side chaining. My synths don't sound like they move. This sounds boring. There's no life to it. There's always ways to fix all those problems. And I feel like that's where I've gotten to, is I'm less solving problems and more just creating. And that's like the best place to be, where it's like, there's always still little things to fix, but I know how to solve them now, for the most part. Like 95% maybe in a song I'm working on, I can fix everything, hopefully for the most part. But
Are you looking to teach? Like, is that something?
yeah, I mean, my ultimate, I used to do Chess Wizards, which was a after school program where they would teach chess to kids, and I actually had it during the year where they'd have these 4 to 6 week to 8 week programs where they'd take kids that want to selectively learn chess. And I was like, why does this not exist for music production? And I'm like, I actually have this full thing where I'd be going to schools and kind of creating the Chess Wizard vibe, where it would be an after school program where we take select kids from music programs that have instruments that want to learn how to take their instrument and apply it in a production realm. And they'd be learning about music production and Ableton and things that you don't learn off the bat, that people don't talk about till later on. Like, off the
Like
bat,
high Q, dude.
no,
I didn't know
like,
about that.
Immediately side chaining, like EQ,
Yeah.
resonance, like working with like delays, filters, effects, like limiting things that I didn't learn till like months and months in. And these kids, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, could be getting this stuff early on, and like, it'll only be something like, they're all on fucking video games and just playing around.
Oh, they'll figure it out.
You market it as something that can be engaging and something they can learn from, and then be more inspired to take their instrument or their vibe to the next level. Like, it'd be so cool to inspire kids and find, like, I went to Baker Demonstration School, and if I do it, I'm starting there, because all these math, art, science schools, they want programs that do this, and it would be something that is very educational, but very engaging, and very just something that you can dive into if you already have an instrument and you want to take it to a different level. Whether you're a drummer, saxophonist, guitarist, bassist, like, you should learn these tools, because you will go into high school being a fucking badass. Like, I can go,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that'd be sick. So I do have something I want to grow toward, and ultimately have a system where I'm like, I'm running it, and I have like 5 producers going into different schools and like doing things. Like, it's a system, and I don't even mind if people hear this and get inspired, because it's a big market open out there, and there's so many different towns and cities. Like, go do it in your city. I'm gonna start it in Chicago. There's already people not started. There's people doing this, but I want to hit it a certain way that's like kind of a vibe. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well,
and also just teach people in general. Like, I just don't have as much time, but if people want some lessons or some insight or track insight, feel free to hit me up. I'm all about that.
What's the best place for people to hit you up for something like that?
Honestly, on Instagram message or email. That's usually the best. Facebook, I'm not on as much. Or just meet me in person. Like, people at the last show, come to my show. They were like, bro, I want to learn something from you. Like, you teach lessons? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'll hook you up. And this kid's like, no way, I can take a lesson from you? Like, yeah. If like, I mean, I'm not doing it all for free, but like, you know, there's a certain thing we can talk about that. But I love helping. And I think at this point, as opposed to just focusing on myself, it's a lot about, you know, giving back and contributing, you know, and that's what I want to do. As I don't just want to be a taker, I want to be a contributor.
For sure.
Put out the good vibes.
Well, let's wrap this guy up.
Yeah, I feel like I've like sunken down further since I started.
yeah. I always think I'm always adjusting.
I gotta come back up. Yeah, there we go. Look at my chin.
So we started with, what was your favorite concert?
Oh, I'm messing you up. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, that's good. So we started with your first concert.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite, like, this changed the game concert?
Oh, I know what changed the game. Seeing Zed's Dead at Congress years and years ago. Like, I actually first got into electronic music, didn't know much about it. I heard Seven Lions. That changed my mind. I was like, what the hell? This is awesome. His remix what is like Above and Beyond. Oh my God, that first remix he did was crazy.
He's so good.
So good. And he's got more of that big room house stuff. I'm not as into it, but it's all good. He's doing his thing, making bank. So it's like props to him for coming up and then adjusting to what's going to make you, you know, more lucrative. So, but seeing, I went to see ZZ at Congress and hadn't really seen a bass show yet, and it was Adventure Club, a Cruella, and Zed's Dead. And my friend Stratus was opening it up. So I was like, this is so sick. And I actually didn't show up till Zed's Dead played. I missed everyone. I don't know why, but it was like getting there. I had my first time to show. The highway was crazy. I was like, what is this? And I remember walking in as they were playing Adrenaline and hearing that bass go like, and feeling that it was like a drop, but it was like a riser the whole drop, and like feeling that bass lift up. It felt like my whole body was being like picked up, and I was like, I've never felt that. 311 and Fish, they didn't do that. Like, this is whole different experience, and it felt like the whole crowd was in this like trance of bass, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is amazing. Yeah, so I realized like bass music's dope, but I never really became like a bass producer. I mean, like, I definitely can do a lot more bass synthesis and sound design and just creative bass sounds than I've ever done before, but I never came up as like, I'm making this bass from scratch and all the resonance and oscillators. Like, I didn't start with that. I was more like sample based, like kind of in the flamencosis realm, but not at all flamencosis, but sampling, then doing my own drum parts. Then I got into deeper sound design of like, let me customize these sounds, let me really get deep with it. I don't want to use any samples. I want to make my own stuff. So it's all a process, you know, but I started not, and I've never really been like, but I love infusing bass into music, you know, and it's in a lot of the stuff.
Tracks we listen to have good, healthy bass.
Yeah, no, they're healthy. Like, I mean, if you play them live, they're gonna hat that low. Like, I want them to be thick, regardless. You know, they're thick. It's funny hearing on these headphones. I was like, I haven't heard them on these headphones. They don't sound bad. I'm used to hearing it on like different things, and I'm like, it's cool to hear them in different contexts, and they still ring out. So it's cool. Yeah. You know?
Well, cool, man. I really appreciate you coming through, man. This was a lot of fun. I don't know how long we've been going, but it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? I guess we'll just go through that really quick.
You can find me in Chicago. No, you can find me in a few places. I'm on Spotify, COFRESI. I am on Instagram at CoFresh. It's funny, I actually would love to get COFRESI, but it's some kid with 0 followers in Uganda that used COFRESI, and we can't get the profile. Like,
really?
At the beginning,
I kind of like CoFresh.
I do like CoFresh. So CoFresh, you'll see it on CoFresh on Instagram, CoFresh. SoundCloud, we got Facebook, which I don't use as much. Facebook's kind of doobie because you can't post multiple videos, you can't do so much you can do other places. So I really I don't, and my Facebook reflects that. It's not like the poppinest place, but I don't really care right now. And SoundCloud and Bandcamp, going to be getting more stuff on that. The full flip package will be out on that, which will be really cool, and some vinyl stuff. And what else is there I'm missing? MySpace.
That's pretty good. If you have one.
No, I don't have a MySpace. No,
I was gonna say.
Those are the mains. Yeah, I feel like I'm like missing one, but not. Yeah, Spotify's not got that.
Any shout outs?
Shout out to Toma, our manager. He actually
Shout out Toma.
did the podcast with you guys and crushed it. I was like, that's dope. We should
Very
do that too.
insightful human being.
Wonderful guy. Just really has been coming to the project last year and helped me carry into like a new vibe. We got an amazing new agent, Adam Payne, who's been crushing it, getting new opportunities everywhere. We got John, which is Prob Cause's old manager, coming into the team. He's been here for a little bit now and he's crushing it. And then just different kind of pieces like here and there from people that are like kind of just helping in the background. So there's a lot of background work. Like I'm here talking, but like they're in the background getting all these things together. So I'm like making the music, but there's a lot more. People don't realize you can do it yourself, but you can't do it yourself. It's a team effort. And I think that having guys like that I really can trust and feel like they're like helping me, as opposed to like, you know, no one's ever really worked against me, but I really feel like they're like helping, you know, and they're making the right connections and really understand what is going on. Like they know how I operate and it's just a comfortable situation. Big shout out to them, you know, 100%. And shout out to my parents, my sister,
Of course.
shout out to my great friend Chloe, shout out to you guys and people, that everyone that inspires me, you know. There's a lot. Shout out to Magic Mike.
Shout out Magic Mike.
Yeah.
Shout out COFRESI the Pirate.
Shout out Percy the Pirate. And yeah, there's always tons of shout outs, but those are like the ones that come to the T in the middle. Yeah, so that's
Cool,
what's up.
man. Thank you.
Dude, thank you for having me on. This is super fun and
Yeah.
super cool. So I appreciate it.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Have a good night.
Peace.